Everybody, my name is Christopher Saunders, and this is a special episode, the top high school performance for football as far as offense is concerned. And it seems like I've had a number of Haddam Killingworth players on in the past couple. I've had their head coach, I had another player on as well, and I'm having on another, Ryan Inkle, who's a running back and had a fantastic performance as far as running the football. Had a whole lot of tubs; those are touchdowns. Had many, many yards, and I'm pleased to be able to have him on here right here on a football Sunday night. Ryan, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into this season, which, I've had a number of conversations with your head coach, and he's a
Mhm.
great dude. I think he's been nothing but fantastic for the program. And, we could talk football forever. Um, Before we get into that, going into this season, now I know you missed a year as a lot of your teammates did because of COVID.
Yeah,
Um, so coming into this year was the first time of having back to back, you could say off seasons in a sense, where it
yeah.
was normal again. So do you feel like that for you specifically, it kind of helped as far as your growth as a football player?
Yeah, I think it definitely did. Like ever since I got so freshman year obviously was COVID, and I had my full season that year for football. But once sophomore year hit, I had we had that like little bit of like false hope. And then I pretty much had nothing for like an entire year. So that was like mentally and physically, that was like super hard for me, especially for someone that cares so much about football.
Mhm.
Um, I was just trying to, keep up physically, keep up mentally, and keep up with like all the plays and everything. And it was just like super challenging because, not being able to go out there every day with like, your buddies or your coaches and, really trying to get it together as a team is like, it's like heartbreaking almost. Like I love the sport, and to not play for an entire year was just like, it was heartbreaking for me. But when I got into when I got to junior year and we finally got like things starting to move, it really like everything kind of just picked up, and where we left off last season, just kind of just built onto this season. It felt like it, so it was like a lot more helpful to actually have like a full season and ride it out until the end, and then being able to start up right when summer hit, and then riding it until now and hopefully until the playoffs this year.
Now, going into this season too, knowing that you were a senior, so you'd be one of the head players, you're one of the guys that everyone else looks after as well. And then obviously too, especially being part of the offense, although I know being in a spread offense compared to what you guys ran last year,
Mhm.
not, being a bell cow may not be the best term for it because you're slinging the rock a lot, but you are the premier guy. I mean, you're going to have opportunities where if you're not running the ball, you could be open in the screen game, maybe a curl route, just something like that. So, did you have to kind of not change your game, but evolve your game a little bit more to work on things like I said, catching the football and even blocking too as well?
Yeah, so definitely I think the one thing that was the hardest for me was the blocking to get that down as a running back. I would kind of just sit in the pocket and let people come to me, but I had to really get coached up to like actually go towards the offensive line or like a blitzing linebacker, and get like mentally prepared that like okay I have to like I can't really like pick a side. I have to react to what's coming at me. And then also, coming out of like the double wing that we used to run, compared to the spread, it's a lot different. Like reading the line is like a lot different because you don't have as many. We had like all 11 guys squeezed into like a tiny little position on the field, but now that we have trips or right or trips left, or we have double slot and all that stuff. It's like reading the field is a lot different. So yeah, I've definitely had to evolve my game a little bit.
How long did it take for the team early on to kind of get into the groove of things as far as with the new offense?
So at first it was kind of, like junior and sophomore year. It was kind of slow, I guess, and we are all trying to figure it out. But I don't think it was too hard because our coaches did really well at teaching us, exactly where to be and what to do.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of the kids on our team are kind of like in youth. We played a lot of spread, and all of us kind of understand football really well, so it wasn't that much of an adjustment.
I would think too with the spread, not to say that, I could go out there and go run a route, but I feel like the spread is much easier and less, what's what I'm looking for? Maybe technically sound than running, as I mentioned, like Naugatuck. They run the wing T. You guys run the double wing. The single wing is probably as confusing as the double wing because there's a lot of moving parts. If the offensive line, if a guard's not pulling, if the tackle is not, whatever the case may be. So do you feel like in some ways the spread kind of helped your guys' minds just ease a little bit and not have to basically run like a hamster in your brain 24/7?
Yeah, so I think definitely for the line, I think it got a lot easier because we used to have like almost every single play on double wing we'd have someone pulling. We'd have a guard or we'd have a tackle or we'd have someone pulling. But now with the with like the double slot or the spread, we there's a lot less pulling guards or tackles, and the line is kind of just doing a lot less. Not as not in like that way, but they're just moving a lot less. Um, and then same thing with the receivers. It's a lot more basic. The plays are kind of like written out right in front of you, and they have to do a lot less blocking because before the receivers were mainly blocking like almost every play because it's such a heavy run offense. So they get out more in space and they get a lot more routes to run. So I think yeah, technically it's a lot easier to run the spread, but it also comes with like the challenges that it presents. In like certain scenarios.
Do you feel like as well for you too, man, that you were able to kind of keep your body maybe a little bit more fresh? Because in running the double wing, single wing, wing T, a lot of times you're going to the teeth of the defense, to the defense, or you're just getting the ball a lot in general. You could have a game where you could get 30, 40 carries. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot of wear and tear over the course of a high school season. I mean, at some point, the tires, you kind of have to go in and get some fresh tires. And sometimes you don't get that until the end of the season. So do you feel like currently right now, your body is a little bit more fresh than it was last year?
Oh yeah, like 100%. I especially so in the beginning of the year, this year we've had like a lot of I guess more successful receivers. Like we had like I talked about before, like Tate Callender and Zenon, who you had on the show before, and a few other receivers that have just been like balling out this year. They've been catching so many T's and they've been catching in traffic and all this stuff. And it definitely takes especially so it like spreads the defense out and lightens the box for me for me in the line as like a running back.
Mm.
So like I'm getting hit a lot less, I'm getting the ball a lot less, and I'm actually catching more passes and having more room and open space. So
Mhm.
it's a lot less of just running straight into the linebackers and hoping for the best.
How's Zenon doing, by the way? Because he was very fun to have on here, and he's quite the specimen as a defensive player. I know he can do his things on the other side, but he's quite the defensive player. I told him he's kind of that unique kind of, I don't want to say Micah Parsons because I don't want to compare that to him because that's a high thing. But
Yeah.
he can do with his size, his speed, and everything. He can do a lot. I mean, he could drop back in coverage, which you don't see a lot of DNs really do.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he had knee surgery last year for a knee injury, and I guess last week or the week before at a game, he kind of reactivated it, and it's been bothering him a lot recently. So he's been sitting out, which really sucks. But he's trying to get through it, and I've been there for him. So hopefully he gets through it and he can play at the end of the season. But right now, he's not really sure where he is physically. It's like a hard thing to figure out because like the doctors keep pushing it back, and you know it's taking a tear like a like he's struggling. I think like mentally with it, but I think he'll be able to get back and try to finish out his senior season.
Knees are tricky. I've always believed the knees and the back. Obviously, heads are tricky with the concussions, but your knees
Yeah.
and back are the worst because if you come back too early, it's not like a shoulder, elbow, whatever. You can go through that. You
Mhm.
need the football players. You need your back. You need your knees. You
Oh
don't
yeah.
have those. I mean, if you don't have that, it's no bueno. So
Oh
hopefully,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's good that you guys are supporting him and getting through the mental stress of that because I'm sure it's killing him inside. He can't
Oh
be
yeah.
out there to help HK.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's injuries in general. Like I've dealt with like countless injuries over my career, and it's just like not even the physical pain is like the worst part. It's the mental block of like I can't be out there with my team, like helping them win these games. It's something really challenging. And I think like something every athlete at one point in their life has to deal with. And it's just, it's challenging, but you just got to keep pushing through it.
Have you been able to communicate with him your stories to maybe help not ease it for him and make it seem like, whatever, you'll get through it, but just, share the story. Sometimes it's good just to talk and be like, "Hey, this is what I went through. Maybe this can help you get through the tough times." Have you been able to do that with him?
Oh yeah, so me and Zen are like very good friends. I talk to him pretty much every single day, and we talk about like our experiences all the time, about like our injuries and all the other stuff that like blocks you as an athlete, for like by getting out there on the field. And yeah, like almost every day we talk about like how emotionally and like mentally like draining that is to just have that injury that just keeps coming back.
Well, hopefully he can find a way to get back on the field, and I know you guys will support him as much as you guys can.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
to go to a little bit of a brighter side, I was talking to Coach Wilcox, and he mentioned how there was a game that you guys had early on. I think it was against Morgan, where some of your teammates got sick, and I told Coach Wilcox, I mentioned, I think it was what I put hashtag Alfredo Gate because who knows what somebody did. I mean, it's just a joke. I'm sure it wasn't harmful, but
Yeah.
to deal with that early on, I mean, he told me that so many guys were sick and could not play. I mean, were you
Oh
one
yeah.
of those casualties?
So, there, like a good majority of the team got like food poisoning or food sickness, um, from from some chicken Alfredo that no one really knows where it came from, but um, but yeah, no, it just I happened to be like one day before our game, and everybody was like sick out of their mind. Everyone was like throwing up, using the bathroom like all day, and like during school, and we're like talking to our coach, we're like, we can't play, like we're all dehydrated, we're all like like this can't happen. So we had to call off the game against Morgan, and we played the next day, but everybody was still feeling like sick, and like so it kind of just sucked. And that was a game that we definitely should have won, but it happens, got to push through it.
Like you say, just got to roll through the punches, or in that case, just try to hope it passes through very, very quickly so you can get back to some sort of normalcy.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly what we did. We come off a loss like that, and then ever since then, we're 4-2 now. So I think we're doing pretty good.
No, you guys are doing very well. I mean, like I said, you guys currently right now are in eighth place in Class S. And if you guys can win out, I mean, very well have an opportunity to make the playoffs, which you and I were going back and forth. It's been a couple years, it's been some
Yep.
time, but after COVID and then with dealing with the adversity that you guys dealt with Alfredo Gate, I mean, there's got to be like I feel like that's going to be a very rewarding thing if you
Oh
can
yeah.
get to the quote unquote finish line as far as getting to the postseason and then
Mhm.
starting the next race, which is getting to the championship.
Yeah. No. Exactly. So I've since I have not been to the playoffs once in my high school career. So try like especially all the seniors on my team right now. We're really trying to like keep everyone focused, keep everyone engaged, because it's the middle of the season right now, and everyone's starting like kind of dwindle down and try to like you know just chill out a little bit. But we're trying to keep that fire blazing. We're trying to keep them going because if we're seniors right now and this is our last chance for the playoffs, and everyone is so motivated to get it. We've all been working so hard for the last like 4 years. Everyone's been in the gym almost every day. Everyone's been running routes, sprinting all summer long, and to have our season fall short of just 10 games wouldn't really be worth it. So I think a lot of us are trying to get that 11, 12, or even 13 game season, which would be awesome.
And the work that you put in, man, I mean, it's shown. I mean, the numbers, what you did last game, which is why you're on here. I mean, do you realize how you're a major contributor to this team being where they are right now? Do you realize that?
Yeah, so um I think that like as a whole, we all work together, and we try not to really like be like, oh, the only reason we're here is because of you, or the only reason we're here is because of our quarterback, or whatever. But I definitely do realize that there are like a few of us that have been really um been putting in the work, and it's been showing off, like me, and Tate and Alex, our quarterback Alex, and one of our receivers Tate. have just been balling out this year. We've all been have bunches of touchdowns. Alex has thrown for like I think the most touchdowns he has like his whole career this season. Tate's been killing it in open space, and then also our line though, like I'm not going anywhere without our line, and they've been really every single game I talk to them, just me and them, and I talk to them. I say the only reason I'm doing this is because of you boys, and let's just keep it moving.
As far as the offensive line is concerned, because I know that they love food, at least I think they do. You should maybe think about buying them a pizza before the season ends as like a thank you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely will.
They may not be the biggest as far as, the 290, 300 pounders, but I'm sure those boys love some pizza or something.
Oh, yeah, they love to eat.
That's the most important thing. But hey, Orion, I really appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun. Congratulations on being the top offensive player of the week.
Yeah.
Best of luck the rest of this season. And hopefully Adam Killingworth can do their thing and get back to the playoffs for the first time in quite a few years.
Oh yeah, hopefully. We're all hoping for it. Thank you though. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime. Now, wrap things up here, rather, on the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. America CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm Jerry. Find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.